Thanks, Mark.
Tessa, you good? Okay, we'll get started. We'd like to welcome Patrick Cantlay into the interview room. He's making his 9th career start at the BMW Championship with wins in 2021 and 2022. Patrick, first of all, take us back to 2021 en route to winning the FedExCup right here at Case Valley, if we can get some comments on your memories.
Yeah, it was one of the longest Sundays of my career with that 6-hole playoff, and it was a hot week, so we were glad to be finished. I played really well and made a bunch of putts that week, and anytime you're playing golf and you make that many putts outside 20 feet, it's really fun.
Talk a little bit about the state of your game. You're number 19 in the FedExCup as we approach Eastlake.
Yeah, coming off a decent week last week, pretty solid play all in all, so I've been doing a lot of good work and feel like my game's headed in the right direction.
All right, great. We'll open it up to questions. If you'll raise your hand, we'll start with Paul right here in the middle.
Pat, obviously a couple weeks to go in the season, but just holistically, as you look at the year, you've obviously had some consistent play. Majors maybe a little bit more disappointing. How do you kind of square when you've been consistent outside those tournaments, and then when you get there, they just haven't maybe gone the way you wanted?
Yeah, I think I've had some good weeks. It hasn't been one of my better years, but like you said, there's still a couple weeks left, and in golf, you're usually defined by your best weeks. So I'm just going to keep putting in really hard work and stick to the process that I've been doing each and every day, and let the results take care of themselves.
All right. Yeah, let's go right over here on the right, and then we'll move front.
Hey, Patrick. Pete Gilbert with WBAL TV here in Baltimore. I know they have done a lot to try and make sure that 27 under is not a score that's attainable again this week, and now it's a par 70, of course, instead of 72. But I don't know if you've gotten out on the course yet, impressions to see, does it feel any different than what you saw 4 years ago?
Yeah, I've only played 9 holes so far, so I've only seen half the holes. It's much different, and it's in very good shape. And like you say, obviously with it being par 70, that's an easy way to make it play closer to par.
All right, let's go right here in the front and then over to Doug.
You mentioned looking toward kind of the weeks still to come in the season,
Mm-hmm.
and your practice round you played with I believe Keegan today,
Mm-hmm.
right? So are you, as you kind of get up to the buzzer, if you're able to look ahead to that for Ryder Cup stuff, is that something on your mind? And what would playing in an atmosphere like that be like if you're selected for it?
Yeah, I think that's definitely something where I'm just focused at the task at hand and worrying about these 2 weeks to close out the season. And then once the season's over, then my mind will kind of shift towards that if that's in the cards for me. Keegan and I play a lot at home, so it's just kind of a normal Tuesday.
All right, let's go to Doug right here and then over to Adam.
2 things. Would you pick yourself for the Ryder Cup, and if so, why?
Fortunately, that's not. I'm not in that predicament. Keegan, however, is in that predicament. I'll tell you, if I was the captain, I'd pick Keegan. I think he's played great.
Team, regardless.
Not regardless. I mean, I think he has a lot of responsibility that week, and so if he feels that he can, play golf like a normal week, given all his other responsibilities, I'm just saying that. If I was the captain and I was thinking, I think he's definitely one of the best American players, and his results have shown that.
And lastly, what did you do in Memphis last week that had been lacking?
I think I drove the ball in the fairway a little bit more last week on a golf course where it's really important to drive the ball in the fairway. And it's a course I've played well at over the years, and so just a comfortable place for me.
All right, let's go Adam and then Paul.
Do you think you've done enough so far to show that you're ready to play on that team?
Yeah, I think it'd be nice to go out the next 2 weeks and have some nice finishes and play well. After last week, I feel like I have some momentum going in the right direction, and I feel really good about the things I'm working on in my game.
Have you added a new playing coach?
Yeah, I started working with Phil Kenyon recently. And, we're just in the early stages, so hopefully, I'll do anything to make a few more putts.
And one more, if you don't mind. I remember one of the memories of this place last time was all that energy around from the fans, but you getting the nickname Patty Ice. What do you remember about that?
Yeah, it was. I was surprised when I first heard it, and I just kind of heard it on the weekend for the first time, really, that tournament. And I think it had to do with me making all those putts. Some of them I even surprised myself with how many putts I was making. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean, anytime we get to play golf in an environment like that, I mean, it's the best.
Has that name stuck?
I think a little bit. Yeah, I hear it. I still hear it from time to time out there.
All right, let's go Bob and then Paul.
Patrick, you said you play with Keegan a lot. You play practice rounds with him out here. So does the Ryder Cup come up, or is it awkward at all, or is it just sort of the elephant in the room and you don't discuss it?
No, like I said, I've played a lot, especially at home, so there's not much Ryder Cup talk when you're out there on Tuesday, just, playing 9 holes with a friend.
All right, Paul, and then Doug.
Just 2 questions on the course. 5 was kind of changed. Did you see the front or the back today?
I just saw the back today, so I haven't seen the front 9 yet.
Then on 18 in particular, I think that hole last time played it as the hardest hole on the golf course. You obviously saw it a lot, both in the tournament and again in the playoffs. Just what about that hole makes it, difficult?
Yeah, it's a hole where you have to put the ball in the fairway. I think they made the fairway a little narrower from the last time we were here, and it's long and straight uphill. So if you hit 2 good shots, you can have a birdie look. Anything other than that, you're probably scrambling for a par.
Let's go back to Doug.
I had 2 questions, Pat, if I could.
Of course.
If you could measure how much time you devote to your role on the board, where are you at now? In terms of how much time had you been devoting or how much time it took of yours? Are you in kind of a lull right now?
Yeah, I think it's less.
Question, sorry.
No, that's all right. I think it's less now than it was, and I think that's just kind of natural for a board. I think there's going to be ebbs and flows. Sometimes the workload's going to be more. Sometimes the workload's going to be less. And compared to the last couple of years, I would say at this point we're in a less moment in time.
And then as it relates to next week, do you know for sure if you're in next week, no matter how you play?
I'm not sure.
John would know.
But I think with the nature of the points, it has a lot to do with how the rest of the field finishes.
Okay.
So if players like 31 to 42 all finish in the top 12, then that would be different than a normal.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Yep. As it relates to next week, do you like what they've done, and what did you not like about the starting strokes? Assuming you didn't like it.
Yeah, I think the starting strokes was tough just because we don't play any tournaments like that, and so it felt goofy from a competitive point of view. I think you heard a lot of guys say something similar. So I think this is definitely an improvement and a step in the right direction.
But you've lost from my perspective, it looks like you've lost an advantage from playing really good golf reg season and even into the playoffs. So
you're saying if you were one of the top FedEx Cup finishers? Yeah.
Shouldn't you have one?
It depends how you think of the competition. I think you could make the argument both ways. In other sports, a lot of times the championship game, the team that had the best regular season record doesn't get a head start in the finals or anything like that. And so, I think having it be like most all the other big tournaments that we play, and that everyone starts, at level, and the player who plays the best that week wins. I think that's fine for one of the biggest championships that we play out here.
And then lastly, and then I'll hang up and listen, what is the FedEx Cup? Because when you have basically a free-for-all at Eastlake, is it the season-long champion?
I think it is, with a huge emphasis on the last week, because you can't get to the last week without playing well all year. So I do think it's a season-long champion. It just has even more of an emphasis on the tournament that week.
All right, back to Adam.
Patrick, you had one of the great putting weeks of your career, here when you won that tournament. What has been the difference between, say, that week versus making this decision that you wanted to hire a putting coach?
That was 4 years ago. So, a lot can change in 3-4 years, especially in this game. And I think anything I can do to just get a little better, and whether that's a technique change or, some little key here and there that I can pick up on, I'm gonna try and explore that to see if I can get better. I mean, that's really the root of the change.
What are you trying to eliminate? Are you missing? Do you have a push or a certain range that you're trying to seek improvement at?
No, nothing in particular. I'd like to make more putts, and a lot of that at our level has to do with reading the greens and matching speed and line. And so having somebody who's an expert eye at that can only be helpful.
All right, let's go right here on the right.
Yeah, Pat, going back to that putting day in 2021, what's it like to be in that zone? And does the crowd, do the making putts beget the crowd, and then does it keep spiraling up that way, or does that have any influence you at all? And just what's it like to be in a zone where, my God, does it really look that big, the hole, 3 feet wide?
Yeah, I think when you start holing putts, that confidence builds on itself. And, you start to have an expectation of the putts going in. And then I would say that combined with the way the tournament played out, in that we were separated from the rest of the field. And I kind of needed to make all those putts, coming down the stretch over and over again with basically no ramifications because we were only playing for, first at that point. You get into a spot where, putts are do or die. It's a little easier to be really free and just try and hole everything.
All right, Doug.
Do you mind me coming back to this just one more time?
No.
If you take
bring it on.
Someone like yourself,
Yeah.
who's not had his best year, but not terrible, but and you get into Eastlake next week and you win, are you the season-long champion for winning one tournament?
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely the FedExCup champion, and I think at this point, if you play the whole year and get into the last, the Tour Championship with the guys who have played, the 30 best guys who have played the best golf all year, and you beat them, that week with everything on the line, I mean, that's a huge accomplishment.
And the last one, a hypothetical, which you probably hate, but if you look at the 4 majors, being the ones you'd love to win, I'm assuming, where would you put the Players' Championship and the FedExCup of what you'd like to win? What would be more important to you to win, Players' Championship or the FedExCup?
Yeah, I think they're right there next to each other. I mean, the Players has a distinct place because it's the toughest tournament to win. It has the best field, in professional golf, and so if you win the Players, it's maybe the biggest accomplishment from a level of golf point of view. And what's that?
Full field, I guess, would matter as well.
Yeah, it just has historically it's had the strongest field of any tournament in golf. And, the Tour Championship's a little bit of a different animal because it rewards that season-long play to even get into the tournament. And then now you have to play, excellent golf to win. So I think anytime you're beating the best players in the world, it's a huge accomplishment.
Do you have anything for us? We're asking the questions. Do you have anything for us?
All right, we'll wrap right here with Paul.
This isn't pertaining specifically to Phil, but when you make an addition or a change in your team, I know obviously you're someone who sticks to a routine, kind of has a tight-knit group. Like, how do you decide when it's right to do something like that, to make a change? Is it just you wake up one day and you decide, or how do you realize, hey, it's gotten worse enough, or something's gotten good enough that I need to do something? Like, how do you make that decision in your head?
Yeah, I think it's something that, at least on my team, we're doing all the time. Is there something else we can do to get a little better in all areas? And so, that's a lot of talks with people on my team, and we're doing that kind of in every area. And so this addition of bringing Phil on recently felt like a really good fit, and everyone on my team supported it and thought it'd be good.
All right, Patrick, as always, thank you for your time.
All right, thanks very much.